Angel, Rob was there. So the guy's sharing a room with me, and he brings this guy in the room, and he's got this fucking saddle on his thing. So I said, what are you doing? He's got this cigarette dangling from his mouth. Yeah,
Yeah.
brother, I'm here to share a room with you. Is it me, the guy, and the saddle? I said, you, the guy in the saddle. How about you, the guy in the saddle? Get the fuck out of my room. I ain't sharing no fucking room in it. I. So then he gets in the ring, and
Yeah.
he's supposed to be this rough, tough cowboy, right? And he's got fucking ponies on his fucking boots. And I'm like, I said, are you serious? I said, you got ponies on your boots. Does Terry Funk have friggin' ponies on his boots? What kind of
No.
cowboy are you? Right? So I used to give him the hardest of times. But it was warranted because it was just the way it was. But I have to say, I am still friends with this guy. He still
Yeah.
trains at Johnny Roz's. He helps out the guys. He's been doing it. He's a student. He's a good guy, but you gotta love him because he's not a mean bone in his body, and he does. And you gotta say he's one of Johnny Roz's top guys right now. So, hearts out to Mark and his wife. They always do good stuff for Johnny Rod's school at Gleason's gym. If you look him up, he's cool. But back then, I had to give, he was part of the Pepsi challenge.
He got caught in the Pepsi challenge. I absolutely love that story, man. That was amazing. But talking about ECW, how did you find yourself getting in with ECW? Was that because obviously, Gleason's gym is notorious for having a lot of the original ECW guys train there? And was it like how you were saying with the ECW Zombie, you went along to shows, got introduced and shook hands and that sort of thing? Or how did that transition go from you going into ECW?
The truth is, and Angel could vouch for this because he was there. He's my boy. We were best friends at the time. And I was going through a rough time in life. I had just come back from Puerto Rico. I miss the Mamalukes too, Angel Davis. You're definitely right. I do miss the Mamalukes. So I had just come back from All Japan Wrestling. I pinned Mizawa. I had the best tour of my life in Japan, right?
Oh,
So I
yeah.
come back to the States. I did my tours with Carlos. I was finished. I did 3 years of wrestling for Carlos Colon. And here I am. I said, I still don't have a full-time job in wrestling. I said, so what am I going to do? So my thing was you never go to a show unless you're invited. I said, I gotta change my ways because an angel could vouch this. I was too good for my own good. I could back up everything I said. I could out wrestle anybody on the independent circuit. I was that good. But I needed to eat some humble pie and I needed to change my ways. So I went to ECW down at the Elks Lodge in Queens, and I saw Taz. He was one of Gleason's boys,
Yeah.
and everybody was shocked that I walked in with my bag. They were like, "Whoa, what's going on? Vito's here! Oh my God!" So I went to Taz and I said, "Listen, I'd like an opportunity at ECW, and I appreciate it." He says, "Well, did you have any? I know you're doing this German gimmick. You got any squats?" I said, "No, I got nothing." I said, "I just want to wrestle." And they knew I loved wrestling, and they knew I put my time in. I've been doing 8 years, and they said, "All right, Vito." They introduced me to Paul. Paul knew me because way back in the day, before I did my WWF taping, I did a WCW taping where I wrestled beautiful Bobby Eaton. And who was the ring announcer? Paulie Dangerously, right? So I had
Yeah.
met Paul back in the 90s, like in 1990. So here I am coming to him, and he says, "Okay, Vito." And he knew my reputation. I was tough. I was arrogant. I had
Yeah.
swag. I had it everything. All right, Vito, come next week to Philadelphia, and we'll give you a shot. So I go down there. My first day, I walk in. Okay, Vito, you're in this tag team match. We don't want you to do a damn thing, and we want you to take the finish. I said, okay. So I had no offense. I told the guys it was Chris Chetty, um, Danny, Chris Chetty, Nova, and Blue Meanie. I said, guys, I want you all three of you to give me your finish. Vito, are you serious? I said, everybody hit me with the finish. I got to do this. And talk about eating humble pie.
Yeah.
I just finished pinning Mizawa, and here I am on the bottom of this heap, right? So they say, okay, all right, Vito, you did good tonight. All right, come back next week. So I go back the next week. I think they were at the Elks Lodge. So they were looking for an opponent for Rob Van Dam, right at the Elks Lodge.
Yeah.
So they said, so Paul goes to Taz and Dreamer and I think Bubba, and he says, you think Vito can keep up with Rob? They said, you think Rob can keep up with Vito? And then Paul goes, what? He goes, I don't know. I says, you could put Vito in there. I said, he's going to be all right. So I went in there with Rob Van Dam, and you could watch the match. I think it's on YouTube or it's the first one we did. And I tried to out wrestle him, and I was fighting for my life. I was fighting for a job. I want to show everybody I could wrestle a Skull Von Crush, and we had a hell of a match. We did the finish, and then the rest was history. And then Angel started to come around, and Angel was on the ring crew, and he started putting me with Angel, and I was helping Angel get a job in ECW because I used to say, Angel, you got to do this, you got to do that. He trusted me, I was his friend. I wasn't going to let him fall, and sure enough, he got a job at ECW,
Yeah, right. And because you were in ECW for a little while before you got called up to WCW, when you got offered the contract for WCW, and obviously your time in ECW, coming to an end and going there, did you feel like obviously going and speaking to them and letting them know, because ECW always made WCW sound like it was like hell, and you're going to be making a deal with the devil by making a deal with WCW. Did you find you got any heat from ECW, or was there anyone there that really tried to talk you out of going to WCW, or did they see it as an opportunity for you and were happy for you?
I went to Paulie Dangerously when I got the offer, and I told him, I said, Paul, I got an offer for WCW, but I don't want to leave, and I want to stay here because I felt comfortable at ECW. He says, Vito, he says, I cannot pay you the money that they're offering you. He says, you've been working your whole career to get to the top. Go to WCW. So that's where I went. And there was no animosity. There was no hard feelings. There's no nothing. It was a business decision. And Paul directed me correctly because I went on to great things in WCW. And you know what? He didn't play me. He didn't do anything. It was nothing like, stay or you got to do this or, it had nothing to do with, he was honest with me to where, how many guys get that opportunity where, I think Taz had left, the Dudleys had left. I was the next one to leave.
Yeah.
So now it's pretty big for them. You know what I mean? So like they saw, and then when I left, they were like, Vito got a job at WCW. No shit. And then a couple months later, here I am, tag team champion in WCW.
Yeah. And, we talk about, your WCW debut. And as I said, back in that time, The Sopranos were probably the number one show on television at the time. And the gimmick really fitted with the time of, the Italian mafia type style, the way that you guys came in, with Tony Mamaluke, Johnny the Bull. And Johnny the Bull, he wasn't trained at Gleason's, was he? He was trained at the power plant from memory.
He was trained at the power plant. He'd never been on TV. They told me he's green. He says, I says, I can take care of him. So I told Johnny, I said, listen, I said, we're going to do a few things. We're going to do tags. I says, we're not going to expose you. And, just listen. And he says, okay, Vito, I trust you. And I never let him fail and I never let him fall. I took care of him. And when we were a good tag team. We worked as a good unit.
Yeah, you definitely, like I said before, like the matches you guys had there were phenomenal in tag teaming. And looking back, you could not, like I as a fan couldn't sit there and go, man, that guy was, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't see the mistakes. And I've gone back and I've watched, a lot of the matches that you guys had in those early
Right.
stages, and everything seemed to flow really well. And I think that having someone like yourself who was, pretty much a veteran at the time, who'd been around, who'd worked big promotions, who'd been in front of large crowds before, could really be able to guide that through. And, he didn't look weak at all. And that's not an attack or anything bad on him. But obviously when you're new and you're put in such a big opportunity like that, you're going to get nervous. The nerves are going to kick in and the mistakes are going to happen. It's inevitable. But to me, watching, I couldn't pick up the mistakes. But obviously you as a worker, like, were there moments that you picked up were like, fuck, like.
No, you know what? He listened to what I said, and I said, we're going to go with your strong point. The less you do, the better you are. Let's go with your strong point. Him jumping to the top rope was phenomenal. His power was off the charts. His look was phenomenal. He just didn't have the experience. But what's missing today when you put guys together is guys don't follow the veteran lead. And I think that's what's missing in today's wrestling, because you got a lot of guys, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I got my own mind. I got my gimmick. I got this. How about listening to the guy who's been there, done that, and let's get it together. Let's get on a roll. If you want to add something, that's great. But let's get on a roll. Listen to the leadership. Listen to what's going on out there. If you do, there's great things that can happen. But if you want to buck the system, wrestling is universal. Wrestling is done from the left. It's 101. You listen to the veterans and you learn your craft. And a lot of guys today don't do that.
No, they definitely don't. And I think it's the time of age as well. And you see